Star Trek admits it. The Enterprise wouldn't have survived without Spock, and here's the reason why. Over the decades, Star Trek has introduced countless iconic characters, but none have stood as tall or as unshakably vital to the USS Enterprise's survival as Mr. Spock. Though the Vulcan science officer often appeared as a supporting character in the adventures of Captain James T. Kirk and his crew, a deeper examination, and indeed several canon acknowledgments, have confirmed what many longtime fans suspected. The Enterprise would not have survived without Spock. And now, Star Trek itself has fully admitted it. Logic over emotion, and why that mattered. In a crew often led by human intuition, passion, and boldness, Spock represented a balance. His Vulcan logic wasn't just a philosophical counterpoint, it was a tactical asset. On multiple occasions, Kirk's gut decisions would have spelled disaster had Spock not stepped in with a calculated, rational solution. Whether it was diffusing a time loop in the Tholian web or solving interdimensional rifts with cold efficiency, Spock's intellect frequently saved the ship from total destruction. This wasn't just about intelligence. The Enterprise had plenty of smart officers, but rather about perspective. When emotions ran high, especially in high-stakes situations involving death, war, or unknown threats, Spock's calm logic provided grounding. Without that, the Enterprise would have likely flown headfirst into disaster more than once. The unseen burden of command. One of the most underappreciated aspects of Spock's role was how he shouldered the burden of leadership when Kirk couldn't. From the original series to the Wrath of Khan, Spock repeatedly stepped up, never for glory, but for duty. In the Galileo 7, when stranded on a planet with hostile life forms, Spock took command and made the brutal, logical decisions necessary to keep the crew alive, even when it risked their respect. Perhaps the most dramatic example came in Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. When the warp core was disabled and the Enterprise faced annihilation, Spock didn't hesitate. He entered the radiation-flooded chamber and sacrificed himself to save the ship. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, he said, solidifying his role as the heart of the Enterprise, not through emotion, but through unshakable principle. The movie didn't just show that the Enterprise would have died without Spock, it screamed it. And while he was later resurrected, that act of selflessness redefined how Star Trek viewed heroism. It wasn't about flair or bravado. It was about quiet, unwavering commitment. Bridging worlds, literally and figuratively. Spock's unique heritage, half Vulcan, half human, positioned him as a bridge between cultures, mindsets, and ideologies. His presence aboard the Enterprise made him a symbol of the Federation's values: unity through diversity, strength through understanding. Throughout the original series, tensions between the Vulcans and humans were hinted at, but Spock's role helped normalize interspecies cooperation. Later series like The Next Generation and Discovery paid tribute to this idea, showing how Spock's legacy as a peacemaker and diplomat had long-lasting effects across the galaxy. In episodes like Journey to Babel, where political tensions nearly tore apart diplomatic negotiations, it was Spock's calm reasoning and loyalty to both logic and duty that held things together. His ability to listen, not just calculate, made him more than a science officer. He was the crew's conscience. Starfleet itself admits the truth. In later shows and canon materials, Starfleet and its historical records have come to recognize Spock as one of the most important figures in the organization's history. Star Trek Discovery Season 2 explicitly framed Spock as essential to not just the survival of the Enterprise, but to the future of the entire Federation. In that season, we see a young Spock grappling with visions that ultimately help avert galactic destruction. Even a future version of Captain Pike acknowledges that Spock's presence is more than valuable, it's destiny. Without him, not only would the Enterprise falter, but the very ideals of the Federation might fade. Even in Star Trek Picard, we see echoes of Spock's influence through his failed but noble attempt to reunify Romulans and Vulcans. Though the mission ultimately led to tragedy, it reinforced that Spock's wisdom and compassion shaped the galaxy long after his time aboard the Enterprise ended. The legacy of logic. In many ways, Spock's value wasn't always understood by those around him. McCoy constantly clashed with him. Kirk often struggled to reconcile Spock's lack of emotional expression. But over time, both men came to realize, and even voice, their reliance on him. And by the time of the Wrath of Khan and the search for Spock, it became